family adventure vlog, we are headed to Harpswell, Maine, where we are visiting the Cribstone Bridge, Land's End, and the Devil's Back Trail area. It's been several years since we visited the Cribstone Bridge and Land's End, and we have never visited Devil's Back Trail area. Our first stop on today's adventures is the Cribstone Bridge. Another name that this bridge is known by is Bailey Island Bridge because it connects Orr's Island and Bailey's Island. The Cribstone Bridge was built in 1928, and it was listed on the National Historic Registry of Places in 1975, and in 1983 it was listed as a historical civil engineering landmark. The Cribstone Bridge is 1,150 feet in length, and it is considered an exceptional engineering solution to meet unusual conditions. It's the only one of its type in the world. The design of the bridge, which features open split Maine granite cribwork, allows the free flow of swift tidal currents, boat traffic, and it withstands saltwater exposure and ice flows. The engineer who designed this bridge was a gentleman by the name of L.N. Edwards. Architecture is something that Eli is particularly interested in these days, and you'll see in a few minutes just how he interacted with this bridge and the unique architecture of it. He decided that climbing the inside of the bridge so that he could reach the very top was his favorite thing to do this day, and he has asked us multiple times since this visit to go back because he wants to climb inside the bridge again. As we were perusing around the area, we found lots of shells in good condition that were whole, and we also found lots of pieces of sea glass. They varied in range from pieces that were not sharp at all and were safe for little hands to some pieces that had sharper edges. I ended up finding a blue piece of sea glass, and it did have some rather sharp edges, but it's so rare to find blue sea glass that I took it home anyway, and I knew it was in my hands versus my kids, so that made me feel a little bit more comfortable. But there were quite a few pieces of sea glass, which was a lot of fun for all of us to collect. The last time we visited this bridge, we did not explore it quite as thoroughly as we did this time, and this time we spent a lot more time really looking at the structure of the bridge and climbing through it because we noticed that there were sections where it was rather easy to do so, so we spent some time going inside of the bridge and looking at its makeup and how it was created from the inside out, and that was a really neat opportunity because there are not many other bridges in this world that you can go inside of to see what it's like in there. Don't let these beautiful sunshiny skies fool you. It was pretty chilly on the day that we visited, and the wind was ferocious. We thought, based on the temperatures near home, that we could just wear vests or thick sweatshirts and that we would be fine. Turns out that wasn't the best plan, but we persevered anyway because we didn't have any other items with us, and having traveled as far as we did to get here, we were excited to see the sights, so got out of the car anyway, and once we got moving, it really wasn't too bad, and we also noticed that if we climbed through the bridge and got to the other side, which you will see in a couple of minutes, the wind was less intense on that side of the bridge. Here we are inside of the bridge. It was pretty easy to get inside of the bridge and to walk through. I think it's a pretty common thing that people do. We didn't even really have to do much slouching down or crouching or anything like that. Though we spent a good amount of time here, I happily could have spent even longer. It is a location that I find very beautiful. I love to be on the coast of Maine, and then add in the architecture of this bridge, which just really amazes me, as you can probably gather at this point from all of the footage I collected of the bridge in particular. It's just very mesmerizing. I will also note that at the time that we visited, it was actually January 1st, so New Year's Day. This is how we chose to ring in 2023. But on the day that we visited, it wasn't too long after a couple of more intense storms that Maine's had in a while, so all of the sea glass pieces and the shells that were washed up, I don't know that it would be that way. Typically, I don't remember from the last time we visited seeing quite that much sea glass or so many intact shells, so I'm feeling kind of like that was a result of those storms, but we did start to find some rather large pieces of glass, and at one point I even found a bottle that was completely intact. This type of shell is called a lady slipper, and I've always been attracted to them. I think it's because of my grandmother and grandfather on my dad's side. They're just a type of shell that my grandmother has always pointed out to me for as long as I can remember. So whenever I see them, I give them a little extra attention. As is common of most of the coastal areas in Maine, the water is so clear and beautiful. All of our kids, who range in age from almost 10 to almost 5, found this location a lot of fun. Colin had never been before, and Eli and Charlie were both much smaller the last time that they visited, but they had a ton of fun just exploring, collecting rocks, collecting shells, looking in the smaller bodies of water, climbing along the rocks, observing the bridge. For Eli, climbing inside the bridge. Colin and Charlie were not as interested in trying that out, which I'm thankful for. Eli is an experienced climber. Not that we took this lightly. We did watch him very carefully and gave him clear instructions on our expectations of when it was okay to climb inside the bridge and when it wasn't. So thankfully nobody was hurt on this day, and instead we all had quite a bit of fun. I feel like in this portion of the vlog you can really get a good feel for just how windy the day was, because you can see the wind just rolling over the surface of the water and how it's changing that water. At the Cribstone Bridge, we didn't observe a whole lot of ocean life, at least not living ocean life. We did find this crab, but he was dead. Colin had some feelings about that. He is an extreme animal lover, so it was very sad to him to realize that the crab was dead. So we had a conversation about that, and I was able to get him into a place where he was feeling better, but he was curious, so I picked the crab up and we took a little look at him. next stop on our adventure today is Land's End. Land's End is located at the southernmost tip of Bailey Island. This is the scene that you'll drive up to, and this is how you know you're in the right place. The land quite literally ends, as does the road, and you'll be near the Land's End gift shop. There is some free parking in this area. As I mentioned earlier in this vlog, we have visited Land's End before with Eli and Charlie before Colin was born, but we didn't go into the gift shop at that time. It wasn't open, and it wasn't open this time either. I think it is only open during the summer months. I remember coming when I was younger with my parents, and the gift shop was open, and I remember it being fun, but that was years and years ago. This beachy area is located just below the parking area, very easy to get to, only a few steps away, and you can find some sea glass and other shells on this beach. We didn't find too much of it on the day that we visited, but we also had just been at the Cribstone Bridge where we had seen lots of those sorts of things, so we weren't looking quite as closely here either. An important note, poison ivy is common in this area, so just stay on the marked paths and you should be good. While we were visiting Land's End, a gentleman started talking with me and telling me a lot of the history of the location, things that I was not aware of, and the gift shop actually used to be located out on these rocks and went almost to the water. So those different things you were seeing that looked like metal and cement in the rocks was from where the old gift shop used to be. While I wish we had been able to go inside of the Land's End gift shop, and we were not, I did do some reading on some of the things that they offer there, and I learned that they have homemade fudge, light snacks, water, a large selection of Maine-made souvenirs, and they have 2 floors that are full of artisan goods, trinkets, t-shirts, and they're crafted by nearly 100 Maine artisans. I also learned that the Land's End gift shop is owned and run by the Hutchins family, and they have owned it since 1959. It was originally a small snack bar and store opened by Ed Hutchinson's grandparents in the 1930s. The original gift shop was damaged in a January storm in 1978, and that is when it was fully remodeled and moved a little bit further up the hill. During the summer months, the gift shop has quite a few benches and chairs that you can sit in on their wraparound deck. There is also a porta potty available for bathrooming needs during the summer months. Confirmation has been found. Land's End gift shop is open 7 days a week from April through October, but I did find it interesting that it is open on weekends in December, during school vacation week in February, and weekends in March. While it is nothing we would have wanted to do on the day that we visited here at the Land's End Beach, you can go swimming.
Yeah. Oh, look at this.
Oh, that wasn't exciting. That wasn't cool.
It really ended up being coincidental that we visited in the later afternoon hours, but I am thankful that we did because the sun beginning to set created an even more beautiful atmosphere than what is already here at any time of day. If you are really on the hunt for sea glass and you are not planning to visit the Cribstone Bridge, then you can check the tides online, and if you time it and come at low tide, you have a better chance of finding sea glass here on this beach.
No. Ready? No. No, my calculations were perfect.
After leaving Land's End, we traveled back across the Cribstone Bridge onto Orr's Island, and that is where Devil's Back Trail area is located. We had never heard of this trail area before, and we actually didn't even plan to stop there on the day that we were visiting this area, but as we were traveling to the Cribstone Bridge, we went by Devil's Back Trail area, and we thought, hey, we should stop there when we were leaving after visiting the bridge and going to Land's End, so that's exactly what we did. It was a pretty short and easy hike to get to the water's edge, and when we got there, oh my goodness, we saw seals out on this rock that you are seeing now. There was a whole group of seals. I've never seen wild seals before, so even though I am a Mainer, was born and raised here, this was very exciting for me. There's one now swimming in the water. I could not believe that we saw these guys. My only regret is that we were just chatting away as we were on our way to the water's edge, and we kind of spooked them a little bit, and I was so surprised that they were there that I didn't have time to get my camera on and capture them as they were hopping off the rock into the water. But I was able to film this scene, and that was beautiful as well. We chose to walk along Seal Rock Trail. Never even thought about the name when I read the sign, but now I'm making the connection that it might be named that because I'm betting you see seals here pretty regularly. You may find the name of this location interesting, Devil's Back. I did too, but I've come to learn that the trail was named this because the road runs along the spine of Devil's Back. Pets are allowed at Devil's Back Trail area. In addition to seals, some other wildlife that are common to see in this area include ospreys and bald eagles. There are multiple trails in this area totaling 2.2 miles in length, and the difficulty level is considered moderate. You will find trails located on both sides of the main road, and we did visit the trails on both sides. The trails that are located within the Devil's Back Trail area include Otter Creek Trail, Biles Point Loop South, Biles Point Loop North, Gun Point Cove Loop, and Seal Rock Trail.
I'm going to go. Overall, this was an amazing trip. We all had a very wonderful time. We came home tired, with our lungs happy from all the fresh air that we had breathed in. And I would say that visiting these 3 locations in a single day is very manageable, and because they're all close together, easy to do. Thank you so much for joining us on today's family adventure vlog. I hope you enjoyed this time with us. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye!